Okay, we have our third and final way to solve. So far we've solved by graphing and then substitution, and today is called elimination. So these are the notes for solving by the third and final way, which is elimination. Or some people call it the multiplication method as well. So here are the steps, and on the right side I'm going to do the example as we go through the steps. So the first step is to multiply one of the equations to get opposite coefficients. So for like this first example, on the right side, I see an 8x and a negative 4. Well, I want to get it to be an 8x and a negative 8x. Okay, that way those coefficients that are out front are opposites of each other. So my first step then is I'm going to have to choose a number that I would need to multiply by in order to get a negative 8 on the bottom, since there's an 8 on the top. That way they're exact opposites of each other. So I think I can come up with the number in my brain that I need to multiply 4 by in order to get, or I should say negative 4 by in order to get negative 8. That would be a 2. So now we would get negative 8x minus 4y equals negative 52. I'm going to take this top one and put it on the bottom. That way they're stacked. And now you'll notice that at the beginning, the negative 8 and the 8 are exact opposites of each other. So those two, one has a positive, one has a negative, and they have the same exact coefficient of an 8. So that's exactly what we want in the first step. Step 2 would be to add the equations together. That will always cancel one of the coefficients. If you did the step 1 correct, it should cancel whichever one you made opposite. So if we add these two together, we should cancel out the 8's. Negative 4 plus 2 would give me negative 2y. And negative 52 plus 38 would give me negative 14. Step 3 is to solve for what's remaining. So we divide by negative 2. And we get y equals 7. So that's half our answer. So far with all of our systems, we know that there should be two pieces to it, an x and a y. So this gives us half. The other half would be now to substitute that answer to find the other variable. So we have y equals 7. So now you get to choose when you substitute. You can choose to substitute this back into the top or the bottom. I'm going to choose the top because there's no negatives up there. So if I choose the top, it'd be 8x plus 2y. And instead of writing y, we're going to substitute the 7 in. So now if we were to, then step 5 is to solve what's remaining here. So now that would be 8x plus 14 equals 38. Subtract the 14 over, and we get 8x is equal to 24. So you divide by 8, and we get x equals 3. So now we have 3 and 7. So then we're going to write my answer as an ordered pair. So then that'd be 3 comma 7 would be my answer. And that's all we have to do for these, for this style here. So that's called elimination. So let's go on to some other ones here. All right. So if we take a look at number 1, a nice thing about number 1 is I noticed that these y's are already exact opposites. One is a plus 1, one's a minus 1. So I don't even have to multiply by anything here. So if I add the two equations together, I get a 2x. The y's cancel, and I'm left with 12. I would divide by 2 to get x by itself, and I get x equals 6. Now you get to choose which equation to plug it into up top. I'm going to plug it into the top one so that we don't have any negatives. So that'd be 6 plus y equals 4. Subtract 6. and then my final answer for y would be negative 2. So I'm always supposed to write this as an ordered pair, though. So that's 6 comma negative 2. That's my answer for number 1. Oops, I didn't see that there was a spot for it. Sorry. Number 2, I notice that the x's are the exact opposites out front, right? So I'm going to add these together. So those would cancel. I'm going to get negative 15y if I add them together equals 45. Divide by negative 15, and I get y equals negative 3. So that's half my answer. I need to plug that into the top or bottom. I'm going to plug it into the bottom because that y is smaller. So that'd be 10x minus 2 times negative 3 equals 26. So I think that gives me a negative times a negative is a positive 6. I'm going to subtract 6 over. And now I get 10x is equal to 20. Divide by 10, and I get x equals 2 in the end here. So now my answer would be 2 comma negative 3. So that's my answer for number 2. 3 is something from before. It says, is 4 negative 5 a solution? So, well, let's see if we plug it in. I know that this is x and this is y. So for the first one, that would be 4 plus 5 times negative 5 equals negative 21. So that'd be 4 minus 25 equals negative 21. So it'd be negative 20 equals negative 21. So that works for the top. For the bottom, that'd be 4 times 4 plus 3 times negative 5 equals 9. So that's 16 minus 15. Right? Yeah. So that's 1 equals 9. So that doesn't work. So this is, no, it's not a solution. So that's from day 1, I believe. All right. So it says some systems of equations will not have opposite coefficients set up for you. Okay. So if you don't have opposite coefficients, this says if blank are not present, so that's opposites are not present, then you must multiply by a number to create the opposites, like we did with the first example. And then to determine the number to multiply by, you want to ask yourself, what number do I need to get opposite coefficients? So let's take a look at some of these, okay? So it says for the following, determine what to multiply by. And it says do not solve. So if I'm looking at number 1, or the far left one here, I notice that the y's could be exact opposites if I multiply the bottom by something. So the bottom is a 1y right now, and I want it to be exact opposite of 2 up above. So to get that 1 to be a negative 2, I just got to multiply by negative 2 on the outside. So that would give me negative 6x minus 2y equals negative 12. And if I put the top one below, I would notice now that these are exact opposites as far as the y's go, and they would cancel each other out. This next one in the middle, it looks like I can get the x's to be exact opposite if I multiply the top by something. So I got to ask myself, 2 times what would give me 10? Because I'm trying to get the opposite of negative 10. Well, 2 times 5 would give me 10. So if I multiplied that out, I'd have 5 times 4 is 20. Something that looks like this. Now these are exact opposites, so they will cancel each other out. And the last one, it looks like I can either choose the x's or the y's. I'll do the x's. So the x's up top, I want it to be positive 8 because the bottom's negative 8. So that means I'm going to multiply by negative 2. And we got 8x minus 6y equals 44, I believe. And now these 8s will be exact opposites of each other. So that would take care of making the opposites for the coefficients. So I think on the next page we're going to actually solve some of these. All right. So if we take a look at number 4, I noticed that the x's or the y's can be multiplied by easily. So let's take care of the x's. If I multiply by -3, that gives me -6. So I have -6x plus 3y. When I distribute this equals 15, I'm going to put my answer from the top down below. And now I'm going to look to see if I add them together, what do I get? So the 6x's are gone. I'm left with 9y equals 9. Divide by 9, and I get y equals 1. For the other answer, we got to plug in y equals 1. So I'll do the 2x minus y 1. So there'd be 2x minus 1 equals -5. I add 1 to both sides and get 2x equals -4. Divide by 2, and x equals -2. So now my answer is -2, 1. I'm always supposed to write it as an ordered pair. Next, if you take the bottom and multiply it by -2, you'll notice that you get -8x plus 6y equals -28. I'm going to drop the top one down. And if I add the x's together, I get 11. They cancel. I get 11y equals, I think that's -22. I divide by 11 and get y equals -2. So that's only half my answer. And then I got to plug in that answer for y. So I would get 8x minus 10 equals 6. Add the 10 over, and I'd get 8x equals 16, divide by 8, and x equals 2. So then my answer is 2, -2 for that one. And that would take care of the ones where you only have to multiply by one number. And then sometimes we're going to have many solutions or none. And that occurs when all the variables cancel out. You get a true statement such as 0 equals 0. Then it has many. We've talked about this already in this unit. If you get a false statement in the end, if all the variables cancel, such as 0 equals 1, and that has no solutions. So let's take a look at these first two, okay? And we'll call it a day here. So the x's and y's are the exact opposites, so they canceled out. You get 0 equals 8. So this would be no solution because that's a false statement. This next one, you're going to have to multiply by something. So I think the bottom, if you multiply by -2, that will get rid of the x's for sure. -16. And then I'm going to put the top to the bottom here, and let's see what we get when we add together. The x's cancel. The y's actually cancel, and so do the numbers. So this one, 0 equals 0, that's a true statement. So this one is many solutions. So that would be your answer for 7. All right, so I think that's good enough for today.